Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Empowered Living Network Jedi Marketing Tips Hangout. We're very excited to have you here this morning, and clearly you can see it is festive in Bellevue, Washington. James was just asking me, you guys know we've been hanging out waiting for our house to be ready, and he said, so you've got some major decorations going on there. Well, actually, this is our shift decorations we've got going on. As you guys can see, we went to Michael's this weekend. We're still in our Bellevue apartment. This was our temporary location till we get the house, and looks like we're still going to be about another week or two till we get in there. But we went out and we bought tons of peppermint decorations. Like it? Here's what's really cool. Inside scoop. You guys can send a little email to Larry Wallace at Solavei. That's my husband. You don't think I don't have strange people coming to my house. Every time he walks by here, he takes one of these. It's like his little, he thinks he's being sneaky. But now all of a sudden I can't see candy anymore. All I see is bulbs, and I know that means because there's been a thief in my candy hat. So welcome. This is a great season for us to be talking about sharing and caring and giving. I'm sharing here, actually joined here by James Linhart and Laura Wells, social networker and social connector, and very excited. We got a great topic today, guys. We're talking about data. James, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today?
Well, that was anticlimactic.
Like they can all say, we're doing great.
Laura, give a shout out.
Yeah, I'm here in Bellevue, excited to be with you today.
Yeah, you're in Bellevue. You don't need to come by and see me. I might give you some candy.
I'm coming. I'll be there in a couple hours.
Awesome. And, oh, look, we got Ryan Floyd with us as well. Had a great conversation with Ryan this morning, so glad to have you. Laura, give a shout-out to everybody.
Hey, everybody. We're in Dallas, not in Bellevue, and I'm still cold.
It's been cold down there. Now, you just moved into your new house.
Yeah, it's we actually have furniture being delivered today, so it's very echoey because there's not a whole lot in our house. I don't have my purple wall anymore, but that's going to change soon.
I love it. I love it. Well, Ryan Floyd is with us, Social Thousandaire, and getting close to that social connector. I know you are in that process of just watching those trios grow and mature. And this morning, you and I were talking, and crazy week you've had. I love it when somebody calls, and actually I called you this morning, and he gave birth to an unexpected baby, not your own and not your wives, and that kind of sounds awkward. We might ought to explain that you are a fireman and a paramedic, and so, like, how was that?
It was pretty crazy. I was telling you, we get called out a lot of times. There's women having contractions, 2 minutes apart, 3 minutes apart. We throw them on the stretcher, and there you go.
You throw these pregnant women?
No. It's like, here you go, ambulance crew, on your way. Let the hospital deal with all that mess. And well, we had no way of. We pulled up, and the baby's coming out, and so we're catching this baby and cut the cord and all that. So yeah, it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get when someone calls. But it's that training that you do to prepare you for times like that, and that's why today we're training. So when we get those tough questions, or when we get people on our team who are asking us, how do I do this? How do I do that? You already know what to do. It will be instinct because, you've been on these trainings. So glad to be on here.
Well, glad you are on here as well, and that's a great segue because we are right now gearing up for an incredible year. We believe this year is going to be of course, this last year was incredibly explosive. All of us that are on this hangout here today, we've been tremendously blessed by Solavei. But 2014, it's your turn, and we are so excited to take these trainings to you. Make sure that you get the real, raw, relevant information that you need to build your networks, to share Solavei with others. And just like Ryan said, one of the great things about preparation precedes peak performance. Some of the things we're going to share with you today about data, you may think, oh, this is so much data. It's kind of like talking about taxes. It's maybe not the most exciting topic on paper, but it's very, very important to your overall growth. And we want to talk about that today because if you do the right things in preparation, when it's time for performance, you will be able to have the right execution to see success. Michael Jordan wasn't great because of what he did in the games of all those championships. Obviously, you guys can see that I was a Michael Jordan era fan. But what it was the hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of practice that prepared him for the game. The same is with all of us. It's these calls, the webinars, hangouts, being on here, hearing these trainings over and over again, so that when it's our turn and our time to deliver a message or a baby, do y'all like all these little puns I'm throwing in there? It is our time to be prepared. And so, Ryan, very, very cool. You know, I love the way we're just going to continue to use your life experiences to be great platforms for our trainings in Solavei. I also said to you, I think it's very cool when something like that happens out of the blue, something enters your day that you can either freak out because you're not prepared, or you say, you know what, this is what I've been practicing for. And so many of you have not yet signed up your first person. You maybe not gotten your first trio, and you're still watching these webinars, and this is just like practicing in football practice or baseball practice or as a paramedic, so that when the time comes, you're fully prepared to do what you know to do. And I'd like to think that this is a season of new birth. So maybe, Ryan, maybe that's a good sign for all of us, that new things are getting ready to be birthed. 2014 is going to be a season of unexpected blessings for everybody. So let's get started on today's topic. We are going to be talking about data usage, how to read your data usage. Many of you know that we've just advanced our plans with Solavei, which is real exciting. We no longer just have one plan that you have to kind of, even if you're a square peg, you have to fit in that round hole. We now have plans that you can choose which plan is best for you. And so what Solavei has done is they've redistributed the data, and now you can choose, you know, if you've got a family with 2 kids that you don't want them to be on data, you just want them to have a phone for safety purposes, you can get them on that $29 plan, or maybe you've got family members that don't even use data anyhow, they're always on Wi-Fi. $29 plan, we've got a $39 plan that offers us up to 500 megabytes of data. That's the plan I happen to use. I love it. I use a lot of Wi-Fi, and I use probably about 300 or 400 megs of data every month. And then we've got our 2 gigs of data and our 4 gigs of data at $49 and $69. The great thing about this is that it's allowing people to put together the package that best fits their family and their usage. What we want to do today is show you how to know how much data you're using, how to cut down data. We're going to talk about that, why we want to do that here in a few minutes. And we also want to talk to you about how you can share this with others so that they make sure they pick the right plan. So, James, why don't we jump over and why don't we start with you? I know this is something you've pulled a few documents for us on this. I'm going to jump into the back office real quick just so that folks can see what, let's see here, what this is going to look like in your back office. Let's first off show you where you find your data usage. You're going to go into your account tab, which is at the top of my Solavei. See if you guys, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to go to the account tab, and once you click the account tab, this page is going to open up. Now, as you can see at the top of that page, it's really important for you to share with your team members. We'll call that our progress bar. The progress bar is going to tell them if they've completed enrollment, activation, and the getting started process. If you see stuff up here, that means like here they've not activated their Solavei card. You want to make sure that when you're talking to your new members, or if you are a new member, make sure that bar has been completed all the way to 100%. Now, what's great about this account tab is it gives you a number of things. James, why don't you take us through this tab and tell us what we should be looking for?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to look here, there's 2 main things, and really it's on the left where you have My Plan and on the right where you have My Usage. The My Plan button allows you to basically manage your plan. So what's great about the options that we have, ranging from $29 to $69, you can change your plan every single month depending on what you use. Maybe you're traveling more next month or whatever that is, and you can change that every month. If you change it in the middle of the month, it'll be on the next billing cycle that it'll change to that new plan. So this is just a place that you can see actually what somebody would potentially use for each plan, and then it'll also recommend a plan for you. So if the system sees that you're using a lot of data and you're on the $39 a month plan, it'll say, hey, this is the recommended plan for you based on your past data. So this is just a part where you can actually go in here and change it on a monthly basis if you want, but you also just be able to kind of see what your plan is giving you. On the other side of it, you have my usage, and the usage really gets a lot. It's real time, so you use a minute, it shows a minute. You use a gigabyte of data, it shows a gigabyte of data. So you can kind of see what you're using and be able to kind of track that through the month. And there's going to be a lot more enhancements coming out very soon around this as well. So stay tuned for more things that are coming out. And then you can also go and you can view your bill. One of the things that I love about the bill usage is there's also a setting that people can do that's called earn to pay. That's in another section of settings where you can actually choose to have your earnings deducted from your bill right away, and then the remainder goes to your Solavei card. And the great thing about this is you can print out your bill and show people an actual bill and say, hey, look, my bill is zero, or my bill is actually paying me a monthly income, whatever it is. But you can actually view the PDF, you can print it out, you can carry it with you. Something that I did recently was print that out, and it's kind of part of my little presentation now when I'm speaking to somebody. So this is kind of everything that's in that account tab. And then you also have links to long distance and shopping and support. But the usage and my plan are the most important parts of this. And I just want to kind of talk to one thing that Stacy said, where data can kind of be viewed as like doing your taxes. I think of that as technical stuff. When people ask me about APN settings and all these type of things, those are technical questions. To me, the data side of it I really like because it's an education side of it. It's not a technical thing. It's not something that people can just go and find out the information. It's something that really people don't know about data. So this gives you an opportunity to educate and add value to your members, and really just to the people that you're talking to on a daily basis, because no one knows how much data they use. Most people in Solavei didn't even know that they used less than 2 gigabytes of data, didn't track it, and they didn't know about it. So it's just a great way to educate members and educate yourself too on what data means.
Yeah, and so real quick, when we talk about the data plans that we've got, as you saw, there was a $29, which is just talking text, and we've got $39, $49, and $69. Those three are our data packages. I know that Solavei right now is looking, a lot of people have said, you know, why did they go to the multiple plans? First off, it's because there were a lot of people, actually over 70% of our members were not using more than 2 gigs of data. So it was important for us to have these data plans available that somebody doesn't have to pay $49 if they could get away with $39. Again, our mission is to make commerce less expensive and even profitable. So it was important for us to diversify those plans so that we could make sure that we really are making the best value offering for our members. Now, what's great about those of you who are building a network, it really doesn't matter to you if somebody signs up and gets $29 or $69 plan. It still counts towards a trio, pays out exactly the same. So Solavei has not taken away any funds from the network. All they've done is they've diversified and opened up more opportunities for a family member or a family to say, you know what, I really only want to pay for what I use. I don't want to pay for more than that. Now, for high data users that say, wait a minute, I need more than 4 gigs of data, the great news is that the company is right now looking into how they can have add-on data. That's not available yet, but I would just keep your eyes open. It's going to be coming very soon. So right now, if you say, you know, I need more than 4 gigs of data, then I encourage you either get 2 SIM cards. You know, you can definitely have another SIM card that you can plug in for more data, or find those alternatives to where you may be wanting to carry a second phone and make sure those usages. Now, what we're going to do right now, make sure those usages are managed. What we want to show you right now, though, is very important, because as we go through this data, what I would say generation of data users, it's never happened before, any different than learning social media or learning how to conserve gas. When gas prices go up, my goodness, you want to know. Y'all saw the shift in the market. People moved away from SUVs and they started driving these absolutely insane smart cars, right? They are not smart. They are insane. They're the littlest thing. When you drive beside my husband's F-250 diesel truck and you see a smart car, you're like, there's nothing smart about that. I don't want to put my kids in that car. But for all of you smart car users, I'm sure you've figured out how to be very safe in those vehicles. But the market shifts when the market shifts. we are in a shift zone right now as it relates to data. I don't know if you guys have shopped for cars lately, but now you can actually purchase newer vehicles, higher-end vehicles, and you can stream Pandora from your vehicle. You can download apps in your vehicle. Well, how is that done? Well, either you drive into your house, into your garage, and you download on Wi-Fi, or unfortunately there's going to be a lot of uneducated people that they're going to download while they're driving, and that is data usage that's going to be applied to a plan. What we're teaching our kids, and what I've been able to learn myself, and what we're getting ready to teach you, is you do not want to be lender to a borrower. You don't want to be borrower to a lender. You don't want to be slave to a master. If you become addicted to data usage, saying, well, I have to use 8 gigs of data, you know, I can't function without it. Well, I can tell you I am running a very large organization of hundreds of thousands of people right now, and I use less than 500 gigs of data on Solavei. There are ways for you to manage your data. You've just got to get educated on how to do that. For me, I know the 30 and under, 35 and under generation right now, they've been trained. Most of them have come up through this mobile phone generation, especially even under 25. They are Wi-Fi suckers. They look for Wi-Fi locations. They say, hey, let's go hang out at Starbucks. Hey, let's go hang out at Zeke's Pizza. Why do they do that? Because they can all pop in there and immediately tap into Wi-Fi, and they can download videos, music, they can hang out, and free-for-all, right? Unfortunately, a lot of folks who haven't been raised in that generation, they don't get that. So they don't wait till they get home to download those big apps or big files or big videos. They're trying to do it 24/7. That increases your data usage. And here's what I want to share with you that I've shared with my kids. My kids have never had a data issue because they have been raised. They know that if they want to download that latest game or that latest, just wait till you get home. Or if we happen to stop at a store while we're there, download that sucker. And so if you can begin to learn how to use Wi-Fi, you'll be able to decrease your data. Now, why is that important? It's important because as data, the FCC, obviously, it is a war right now, data war between AT&T, Sprint, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Those are the 4 major carriers in the United States, and MVNOs, of course, are under those umbrellas, like Solavei, who is attached as a strategic partner to T-Mobile. Every one of them have a bucket, a certain amount of data that they are able to distribute to their MVNOs and to their subscribers. And that's it. It's just like there's no more than 24 hours in a day. There's not extra data buckets just sitting out there. So the FCC is trying to figure out how do we manage the cost of data as well as the bandwidth of these carriers. That's why AT&T was going to buy T-Mobile, because AT&T was completely out of spectrum. They had no more bandwidth to add subscribers and increase data usage. So they were going to buy T-Mobile because T-Mobile had a plethora of bandwidth and spectrum. Well, that deal caved. Obviously, the FCC shut that down to, you know, prevent a monopoly. And when that happened, AT&T had to pay T-Mobile $4 billion, of which T-Mobile has put a huge chunk of that into network development. Now, why is all this conversation important to you? Because you need to see the bigger picture of data so that you don't become somebody who says, I just want to use as much data as I possibly can. It's not smart for your future. It's not smart for your kids. Instead, realize that data is like gas. You don't want to be able to say, I want unlimited gasoline, and I don't want somebody to tell me I have to pay more for gas. Well, if you do that and the Arabs decide to raise the price of gas, you are sunk if your life is dependent on gasoline. You've got to make sure you have options, and that's what obviously the government is a part of governing that. The same as with data. It's like gasoline to our lives right now. We function off of it. We need it. We use it. If any of you have ever had your phone go down or your internet go down, you know we kind of go into a panic. Make sure that you are learning for your best future how to use data, but not be addicted to data to where literally, I mean, when we changed these data plans, there were some of our 5, 6 gig data users that freaked out. I mean, they freaked out. I gotta have more data. I gotta have more data. I mean, it was like oxygen to them, right? And it concerned me. It didn't concern me because I thought, oh, well, you know, it hurts our company. It concerned because they are a small percentage. Remember, 70+% of our members use less than 2 gigs of data. So what concerned me, though, is how panicked they were, and it showed me, man, they're going to be in a world of hurt if they don't see where data is heading, that it's going to get more and more expensive, and certainly people are going to become more and more dependent on it. So what we want to do right now is the same thing. We want to show you some tips. Solavei has put them up for you to know how to manage your data. Laura, why don't you take us through, let me pull it up here, data management tips. Why don't you talk to us? I know you've got a couple of young teenagers as well, and I'm sure your family at some point in time before Solavei was hit with a good upcharge on an AT&T bill or something, and you go, wow, why did our bill go up to $500 this month? You tap into that and you realize, wow, it's overages. Solavei obviously has 0 overages. That's the great thing about these plans. They are what they are. But Laura, take us into data management tips and how you see this affecting not only our members, but how we are actually creating a sustainable, smart community for people in the future.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, you're right. I mean, firsthand, I mean, McKenna, all I really have to say is I have a 14-year-old daughter. I can stop at, like, the end, period. And, yeah, I mean, you know, previously we were on AT&T, and we were at AT&T for 9 years. So our kids' first smartphones were on AT&T. And, yeah, several times, more times than, you know, it was annoying, and then it was super annoying when you get hit with a $25 surprise charge for an extra, I don't know, 500 megabytes or 1 gig or whatever of data. But here's the thing, and this is the biggest difference to me for Solavei is the transparency we get. Because with AT&T, we thought it was unlimited, right? In big, bold letters on everything, they say unlimited. Every single carrier, I mean, AT&T, all of them, itty-bitty, teeny-weeny fine print, it says somewhere in there about a data cap. There is no such thing as unlimited 4G data on anything because it's expensive. Even the ones that claim truly unlimited, try it and see what happens. So for McKenna, you know, I guess it was right around the time she hit like 12 or 13, she got really into music, right? And so she was streaming music all the time, and we would consistently get hit with these $25 overage charges. And so what I love about Solavei is the transparency, whereas on AT&T, we didn't even know what our usage was like. We had no way of having a gauge of seeing, okay, here, you know, we're getting close, maybe we should change our plan or whatever. With Solavei, they're so on the opposite end of that spectrum in that they're putting it like almost one of the first things you see. That's how transparent this company is. Not only that, but when I would call AT&T and say, hey, what's up with this $25 overage charge, they wouldn't educate me. My choices were pay your bill or leave. So with Solavei, they actually teach you how to manage your data. And I'll tell you guys, the word data, I think, scares some people. It's one of those words that freak people out because they think it's technology. I don't want to have anything to do with that. But you guys, this is something we've been able to teach McKenna. She's 14. This is something she completely understands. Jeremy actually has her, she's got an app on her phone where she can download this app, and it keeps track of her data usage, like right there on her phone. So she doesn't even have to log in anything. It's actually something she can watch. He set it up for her, like according to her billing cycle. And I think in the back office there are some suggestions on different things you can download for that. But so she can monitor her own data. Of course, turning on Wi-Fi. Our house, we have Wi-Fi, so the kids know to set it up on their phone, and they use Wi-Fi whenever possible. The kids even know. It's really funny because I guess there was an album. It was actually this summer during Social Commerce University, and Mason, my 17-year-old, he was the kids went with us to 4 of the 6 cities over the summer on this tour, and it was really funny because this was a big deal for him. His favorite record label was doing like a 2-day live stream, okay, of like all these different albums that were releasing. 2 days of streaming music, solid. And it was while we were on the road. And we had taught our kids enough about Wi-Fi, data conservation, all of this, how we can be better stewards of our data because we're part of a community here with Solavei, and we want to we want to be a part of that community by conserving as much as we can to leave it for others. And it was really cool because our 17-year-old even was all these different cities. He was going around and saying, okay, this Target has free Wi-Fi, or this Starbucks has free Wi-Fi, or let's go to McDonald's, it has free Wi-Fi, because he knew that's when he could stream his thing that he was watching. So it's just a little bit of education. It's not scary, but I love that Solavei puts it into a place like this one-stop shop, where if you just read through this, it's so easy to learn, you guys. My 14-year-old and my 17-year-old completely understand how to manage their data, if they're streaming videos and music, to use Wi-Fi, getting on these apps that manage it for you, or at least keep you on track, sort of. Our son uses a lot of cloud applications, so that if he's got something big, like from school, PowerPoint decks, stuff like that, he knows every time you download something on your phone to use that on, cloud via Wi-Fi, all of that. It's a great education, let alone being able to use, your Solavei service more conservatively, and you get more bang for your buck that way. I mean, that's really all there is to it. It's more for your money if you just learn to follow these simple tools.
Yeah, and if you guys see on this form that I've got posted up there, you really need to read through this. This is one of those forms that is worth reading every paragraph. Maybe you haven't read it, and maybe you're like me. Honestly, I don't spend a lot of time in the forum on these documents. I don't think I need to read everything. This is one you need to read the whole deal because there's so many tips on here. Let's just look off, for example, turn off auto updates. You may not know this, but a lot of apps and widgets, they do these auto updates, and you probably, without knowing it, subscribed to auto update on that particular app, which means you could be out, not on Wi-Fi, and it automatically updates, whatever, Angry Birds or something that you really don't need to be updated right then, but it does it, and it sucks your data when it does that. So if you can turn those off, turn off all your auto updates, and it shows you there, how important that is and how to do it, that's going to save data right there. Managing your cloud syncing, like Laura just said, you can set it up to where that only happens on Wi-Fi. So, you may, throughout the day, I use Dropbox. And, man, if that happened, as much as it is updating and downloading, I would be at 15 gigs of data easy. But I manage all of that. I do it all on Wi-Fi because there's no way while I'm driving that I'm going to be able to review all those documents and PowerPoints and things like that. When I shoot a webinar or a hangout like this, it's on Wi-Fi. One hangout like this, I did 3 hangouts in Arkansas because there was no Wi-Fi in Arkansas where I was, and I downloaded them, and it went to 15.3 gigs of data. Now, thank God I was using a Verizon hotspot, so I sucked their data and not Solavei's. But that was just 3 hangouts being downloaded. So just make sure you're not doing that on your data. Do that on Wi-Fi, and those tips right there are really going to help you manage that and know how to do that effectively.
Hey, if I can throw in one more tip, sure. This actually just happened last month to a brand new member of ours, and their friend who sponsored them called me, and they were panicking because this person had activated their Solavei service 3 days prior, and 3 days went by, and she had already gone over her 4 gig of high-speed data limit in 3 days. And so we were originally thinking, that's like, there has to be a glitch. There's got to be something wonky going on with that account. What in the world? And so they posted a message in the support forums. They looked at the account, and they were like, yeah, sure enough, that's a lot of data. And so we were going through just, okay, what did you do? Like, walk me through the last 3 days of your life. What have you been doing to use that? Because that's a lot of data. I mean, seriously, I'm a really heavy data user. I'm on my phone constantly on Facebook and all of that, and I barely hit a gig. Okay, so 4 gig is like, anyway. So what happened, here's the deal, you guys. If you're, obviously, if you're brand new to Solavei, but if you're also switching phones, and you get a new phone and you're like setting up all your email accounts, this is what happened to her. She had 6 different email accounts. They were downloading all of the emails from her email server, like her webmail server, onto her phone. You guys, tens of thousands of emails were downloading onto her phone, and that's going to eat it up. That's exactly what did it. They were like, because she hadn't even used her phone, it was just downloading all this stuff. So it may be something as simple as, you know, set up your phone while you're on Wi-Fi. If you're setting up the stuff and like you're going to be downloading all these pictures from your other phone or whatever, emails, do that on Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is the key word of the day. This Hangout is brought to you by Wi-Fi. It's just so important. I mean, little stuff like that can completely just kick it over. So anyway, that was crazy.
Awesome. Well, Ryan Floyd, I know you and I were talking this morning, and part of the transparency of this Hangout is, you know, I want to talk about some of the questions that have been coming in. And you contacted me this morning and said, you know, Stacey, I just want to hear from your perspective. What are you saying to some of these folks that are asking these questions? So, Ryan, kind of give us your perspective right now, and then let's just chat a little bit and hopefully answer some of those questions on this Hangout.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on it, that there are some individuals who have become reliant on data and feel they need it at all times and are streaming Pandora. And, you know, I understand they might need to adjust. And I love the new 29 and 39. I gave an example last week of a family in my church spending $220 a month with Sprint, and they have 8 kids. I mean, they got a tight budget. He's an AC repair guy. They don't have a lot of money. So if I switch them over, I said, let's talk about your data usage. That's a very good question you want to start asking people right now, is whether they're coming from Verizon, AT&T, and say, you know, well, what do you use? And just ask the person what they're used to, you know. So, because if somebody's on our plan now, you can look 3 months back and work with them. But if you're a brand new person on the street you talk to today, just ask them, what do you do? What do you do on your phone? Or get an idea. And then, you know, in this example, he's an AC repair guy, so he has to look up parts on his phone. So he'll probably take the 49 just to make sure he's got enough data to look up things like that. The wife is at home, she'll do the 39, and the kids only need the 29. So before, I would have had to stick them on, you know, all 3 lines at 49 at 147, and they would have been getting way too much data than they really need. It would have been overkill. Now I can put all 3 on, and it will cost $117. So they're already going to save $100 a month for a family that the budget is tight. They don't have money to throw around, and then they can refer one more person, and they're already down to $97. And getting the data that they need. So I love, you know, the customization that we have. We can work with people and get them exactly what they need now.
I love it. And, you know, I think one of the things we're wanting to share with you today is number one, perspective of what is data. We're in a generation right now. We've never been here before. We're in a season of life that has never happened. We are in a technology surplus where new innovations are coming out every single day. You know, it was just a few years ago that all of us were trying to figure out, is this Facebook thing going to work? Is Twitter going to make it? Was it MySpace? Isn't that what it was called? Is it going to survive? Who's going to be the big front runner? And do I really want to tell people I'm at the grocery store? And it seems kind of creepy to be telling people what you're doing. That was just a few years ago, remember? And we didn't know how to use it. And a lot of people were afraid of it. They felt threatened by it. They felt violated. They wanted to sue somebody because people could, you know, I remember when people were like, I don't want anybody to know where I live. And now it's like, you want to be found. The name of Google is how well can you be searched? Can you look up Stacey Wallace and know every single thing about her? In fact, what she was doing 5 years ago. So those are the things you just have to look at history and realize that when something changes, it's no different than the automobile. The first automobile, if you will remember, they were ridiculed and judged and said, you know, I mean, it's a great idea, but it'll never overtake something as brilliant as the common horse. Well, think about the people who were unwilling to shift and understand the times. They got caught in the squat, as Zig Ziglar says. You know, same thing with people who were involved in horses and trains, and they didn't understand that planes. Well, you can't trust planes. I mean, they're too expensive, and it's, you know, the gasoline alone, and you're going to put yourself up 33,000 feet in the air in a metal box, and you're going to trust that? Now look at us today. The people that are still only willing to move by ground are moving at a much slower pace. Well, we are in a technology age right now. We are in a data age, really. And I know no one's ever said that publicly. I don't think we've ever seen that on TV yet, but it's coming, where people are going to have to learn how to manage data because corporations are doing a brilliant, just as much as we are now reliant on our phones, Solavei is brilliant to build everything on a mobile app because we realize that people will not leave home without their phone. They have become completely dependent on this little rectangular device. In the same way, people have become very, very dependent on this data thing. Now, I want to encourage you to figure out how to manage it, just like a sustainable community. Make that shift right now and know you don't go, oh my goodness, it's just so expensive and what am I going to do? What you have to do is say, how do I use what my family needs at the least amount of cost possible? And here's the brilliant part of Solavei. Solavei knows, remember I said at the last, what was it, the Get Loud Bash with Ryan down in Dallas, Texas. I said he is a CEO and executive surrounded by brilliant minds that they see beyond the horizon. What that means is they see beyond what you see and they know the next thing coming. Think about Apple. Think about the way Apple has created products. They already know what's going to be coming out in the year 2017, right? Because they have a plan of progress of how technology is going to grow. They knew the day that they launched the iPhone 5 that they were going to have an iPhone 5S. They knew that they were going to have multiple generations of the iOS system. Now they're on like how many different changes that they've done. Why is that? Because they're seeing beyond the horizon. We as the consumers, either we get caught behind the horizon waiting for the next thing to happen. Oh, I wonder if they're going to change their data plan. Oh, I wonder if they're going to change their rewards program. Oh, or you realize change has to happen because the world is changing. What you have to do is be like a palm tree. Bend and don't break. The palm tree withstands hurricane force winds because it's been able to bend and not break. And that's what you've got to do in the pre-launch and the beta, or even in any type. I was reading last night the book Contagious. I'm reading it again. Many of you have already read it. You've heard us. We've been going through book trainings on it. But in that book, it just continues to talk about the importance of shifting and being able to see beyond the horizon. That's what we want you to do. Now, I want you to think about Solavei this way, and then we're going to have our final words from our speakers here. I want you to think of Solavei as a safe place. We are building a sustainable community. When I moved to Bellevue, Washington, just to be completely authentic with you, it freaked me out. I moved from Texas. In Texas, we do everything big. We have big furniture, we use lots of water, we have big hair, we have big houses. We are not about conserving in Texas. We are about exploding in Texas. Texas thinks it should be its own country, right? So I move up to Bellevue, Washington, where Amazon actually delivers fresh, whole foods to your front door to do something as simple as keep you from using more gas to go to the grocery store. They're going to bring it to your door, and they have a truck that goes around. They're about conserving water, and you have at every house you get 3 trash cans. You get your recycling trash cans. You get your waste trash cans. So I moved to Bellevue, and the first week that I'm here in our house, I did get ticketed for too much water usage. They're saying, you're using too much water. Basically, I got throttled, right? I got the little guy coming with his hat and his ticket, and he throttles me for water usage. And I'm like, I was upset. I was just like somebody who gets throttled with data. I was like, I don't get this. This is crazy. I mean, what happened to, hello, neighbor, here's a pie, thank you, welcome to the community, right? And so 2 days later, I get a ticket for the trash. I put the wrong trash in the wrong, I didn't understand that. I mean, they give you these pictures, and I was like, are you kidding me? That's way too much for me to have to think about. I have to think about whether or not this paper plate has food on it or not. Crazy, right? I honestly thought these people up here were nuts. Until I was here for a little while, and I chillaxed on the whole judgmental thing because I was used to one way of living. And then I began to realize that Bellevue, Washington is one of the greenest states in the entire nation because they have a vision of sustainability. They have a vision of creating a community of people that are actually doing good for the earth. They see beyond the horizon. They see where we're headed with trash buildup and the ozone layers and all of these things. They're seeing what the average person doesn't see, and they're saying, can we do our part to make life better for many? And then I started realizing, okay, maybe I don't need to leave my running water on that long. Maybe it is simple. If I let myself be educated, maybe it is simple to separate my trash so that I help out the community. That's what we're doing with Solavei. We are building a sustainable community that allows us to drive down the cost of commerce for everyday goods that you're already using. But in order to build this community, we need people like you to do your part. Not to come in and say, what can I get? But don't come in with Texas mentality. Come in with the mentality of what can I do to help support this community so that we can build not a one-year plan or two-year plan, but we can build a long-term 15, 20, 30-year game plan that begins to educate, create a sustainable community, and because of the power of sheer numbers, we can begin to negotiate better commerce prices on behalf of the people. So it can be not only less expensive, but ultimately, because we make great decisions, because Solavei is making great decisions with the viewpoint of the horizon on behalf of the members, that we can even make it profitable. And hopefully today we've given you a little perspective of how you can play your part. Of course, we've got this tab here. Both of these, you can see them up in my bar there. Go to support.solavei.com, Doc 2793. You might want to write these down. Doc-2793 and Doc-2951 are the two documents that we're talking about today. This one here is going to show you how to use your account tab. We've already kind of run you through that, but it gives you great pictures tutorial there for you to know how to go manage your plan, see your plan, and know what's the best plan for you and your family. So signing out here, James, let's just go through the panel here. What would you like to say, share with the folks before we sign out?
Yeah, I think two things on just like the data management side, and then kind of wrap up with what you just said too. One thing, and Ryan mentioned it, people use Pandora, and I've gotten one of those. That's one of the main things I've had people say. Well, I stream music while I'm exercising or whatever it is, and what I've done is I've switched to Spotify, and Spotify is just a way that you can. It's like I think it's $10 or something like that, and you can download the app, and then you can download all the music you want to your phone. And you don't have to stream anymore. You can actually listen to radio without streaming and conserving data. And then on the other point, too, when you talk about data management, and one of the things I've done is I downloaded an app called My Data Management. And I don't know if you can actually see this, but it shows me exactly how much data I'm using on my phone. It shows me how much data I've used on Wi-Fi. And so far this month, I've used 7 megabytes of data on Wi-Fi. So it just lets you see what you're doing and educate yourself on, like, all right, how am I using it? Where am I using it? And it's called My Data Manager, and it's a free app. And then the last thing, talking to what you just went over, if you look at what Verizon and Sprint and everyone's doing, I would classify them as enablers. They're saying, oh, you want more, we'll give you more, giving more, and giving more. And you have to know that data, and people aren't going to want to spend that money for it. Really what Solavei is doing, like what Stacy talked about, is teaching its members to be sustainable, to be responsible, to be accountable to what they're using and what they're doing, and be able to educate other people about that. The one thing about Solavei, and a lot of other companies out there too, even when you talk about from a government standpoint or from another company standpoint of how they get people to be sustainable, is they reward them. And with Solavei, you get rewarded for being sustainable. How do you get rewarded? You in the air and grow through the ranks. So literally they're creating lowering the cost of commerce, making it profitable for everyone, and the reward is for that's that you get the reward for, and it teaches you how to be sustainable. So I think what we have here, like Stacey talked about, is just creating a community of people that, I mean, think about it 2-3 years from now, where data is going to be. Well, we're going to have a community of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million people that are managing and they're sustaining the community with their data usage. It's not going to be a community of people using 20 gigabytes of data. We're going to come up with solutions on how to do that. So I love these plan options that came out, and it's just a advantage of it itself on what data is, and share it with other people.
Awesome. Very good. Laura.
Yeah, I mean, so two things. I mean, also, like James, as far as data goes, I think this is, you know, again, like Stacy, I come from the world of direct sales for over 15 years where you succeed, I'll make it personal, when I would succeed by talking people into buying more, consuming more, buying the bigger package, upgrading to the biggest plan, whatever, you know. And I did very well in that business. I think it's really cool and a totally different world for me to be able to call my existing network, my existing members, and say, hey, do you have a couple minutes? Log into your back office with me. I want to see how much data you're using and see if we can lower your plan. It doesn't affect my paycheck, but it affects their family. You know, like my mom, she uses less than 500 megabytes of data. So for her, I mean, you know, it's 10 bucks a month. We were able to save her. She's now on the $39 plan. She was paying $49. She didn't need to pay that extra $10 for the last almost year and a half because she doesn't use that much data. So for her, being able to save my mom, who's on Social Security, she's a thousandaire now, but she lived on Social Security, so being able to save her 10 bucks a month, that's $120 a month back in her pocket with one switch of a button. So I just think it's a different train of thought. Being able to give something to more people by simply trimming the fat off of something that people weren't using anyway. That's an amazing concept that nobody else is doing, and here's where I'm going with that. Nobody else is doing that. No other company, no other mobile service company is doing that. They're spending billions of your dollars instead buying stadiums and billboards and all this kind of stuff. You know why? Because people are overpaying for the data that they're not using. That's where that extra money is coming. Solavei isn't paying for all that garbage, and instead they're using that money back and putting it into the hands of you and I, or nonprofits. So it's a totally different concept, and to be honest, this has stuck with me since pre-launch. Jim Ryan, I remember him posting on Facebook. No, he posted it in the dashboard feed. He said, Solavei may not be for everyone, but it may be for many. And that has stuck with me forever. Some people won't get it. Some people like to gorge and gluttonous behavior and consume. That's just the way it is. And until they have that aha moment, go find the people who want to be a part of a community that's doing good for everyone, because that's what Solavei is. So that's all I have to say about that.
That is awesome. Great examples, Laura. Ryan, hit us up with your final word.
Yeah, I think James was dead on. It's just about education, and it's actually, you know, exciting to be able to do what Laura's talking about and help people save even more money. And so, you know, when the changes came out, I saw a lot of people posting up different other companies and their plans and saying, you know, oh no, how do we compete with this? And how do we compete with this? And how do we compete with that? I think the other question is, how do they compete with us? I mean, guys, don't look at the data and say, okay, it is what it is. Here's what we've got, you know, and we do beat a lot of plans, big time, okay, we do, but don't lose sight of the bigger picture. Okay, data is an educational thing. We'll find out how much they're using and get them on the right plan. But don't just feel like you got to put on the data boxing gloves and I can outbeat that company you're with or you're gonna choose. And don't do that. That's not there. Don't miss out on marketplace, guys. Think of all the value that we bring. With, you know, last month I saved money buying my kids shoes. I saved money getting a sandwich. I saved money getting a coffee. I saved money going to the movies with some guys up from my church just to get out one night. I saved a ton that I'm going to see cash back on. Guys, don't leave that out of the equation when you're talking with people. Our goal is not to be the biggest, baddest mobile phone company with the best data plans out there. That's not who we are. Don't lose sight, guys, that we are a social commerce company, and our #1 objective is to make commerce less expensive. Bring that into the conversation. Bring marketplace into the conversation. And bring the fact that you have the ability to lower or eliminate your bill, which whoever the person's trying to compare with you, I guarantee you they do not offer that. So don't lose that, you know, don't lose sight of that. Use the tools that we've covered, how to, you know, save on your data and all those things, but don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Awesome. Wow, great tips, you guys. I love these Wednesday Hangouts because there's always just so much meat on them. For those of you who are watching, we hope this has been beneficial to you. Make sure you go check out those documents in support.solavei.com. Stay tuned to empoweredliving.biz. We're doing constant updates. We're going to go ahead and post these documents. Just as we were talking, saying I think I should, in the phones tab, probably create a data section so we can make these readily available and make them available to you and your team. Again, we look forward to chatting with you on facebook.com/groups/Empowered Living Network. That's where the party has already started. People are chatting and talking it up in there. We want you to know you're invited there as well. Remember, everyone, now is the time. This is the place, and you are the one to start a revolution. On behalf of all of our leaders within Empowered Living Network and within Solavei, we just want you to know we are believing the best for you. Goodbye, everybody.